This podcast has been brought to you by Podcast Nation.
But I will say, like, I
got nothing.
I will say, Brittany, I have a feeling if men are listening to this, if they're sitting with their wives, they're not going to say anything. I get it. But in their heads, they're like, yeah, bro, I get it.
Yeah, but you're painting
I totally get it.
Fair, but that's only if I was doing what you said I was doing and I wasn't.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
You're listening to the Laughing Couple podcast with your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy. Join them weekly as they discuss topics such as relationships, kids, sex, parenting, all unfiltered and all with a healthy dose of laughter. Please welcome your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy.
So Ryan's neck's falling apart because he's 40. Actually, your neck has been out.
This has been happening since I was 23.
Yeah, I don't understand why it goes out all the time.
I woke up paralyzed one day.
No, you didn't.
Now that seems like an extreme.
Yeah, because it is, because that's an exaggeration.
I realize how extreme that sounds. I was 22, actually, not 23. And I was rushed to the hospital, like legit couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like, it wasn't paralysis, but it was, I can't move.
Do you think it came from like a prior football injury that maybe just perhaps never like got put back into place correctly?
So there's a couple of theories here about the old neck skis.
Uh-huh.
So theory number one, yes, obviously football injuries compounded. You're constantly hitting your head, right? Which is jarring your neck. I did break a vertebrae in my back, which is not connected to this ever in football. But I actually believe when I really pull it all out, there's two events that happened. One that actually jarred my neck, but the one that put my neck into a bad position. I got in a car accident and the girl hit me from behind, destroyed her van, but really didn't do anything to my dad's Buick, which is a nice glowing
that's a Buick
thing. Yeah, that's a Buick. Yeah.
That's a commercial.
Yeah,
right?
that's where the girl comes out and she's like, "Oh my God, my car's destroyed. Is that a Buick?" And I'm like, "Yeah, nothing." But it did hurt my neck. And I had like whiplash for a long time from that. And I do believe that. But when I was 22, it was my birthday. We went bowling. I got super intoxicated.
You threw your neck
Once
out
you
bowling?
cross the line that you're not supposed to cross, it's very slippery. And I slipped sideways.
Oh,
and
literally on the bowling line.
Yeah. And I landed sideways and my neck went with it. And the next morning I woke up in bed and I could not get out of bed. My back was in pure spasm.
I will say like your neck pain was going, like you had longer periods of it not coming back for like, it's been a while. And I feel like you just need to, like, when it goes out, you need to immediately see your sister. Like you drag this out and be like, no, it's fine. And I don't mean like you're physically like dragging it out because it's like legit. I'm saying you just think it's going to get better and it never does. And then, so instead of staying like, I'm going to go get it fixed sooner, it's now been a week and you still can't move and it's getting worse. So I wish that you would go deal with it.
You tell time like my mom tells time. It
Okay,
went out on Saturday.
Okay,
Today's
and it's Wednesday. But what I'm saying is,
carry the one. It's been a whole week.
What I'm saying is you have been in pain and not able to do much. And why would you not go on Monday and say, hey, let me fix this? Because history has shown it hasn't gone away on its own literally ever.
It's referred to as a facet irritation.
Why are you waiting?
Simply
is my
just
question.
needs a manipulation, chiropractic.
So why are you waiting? It's my question.
Adjustment, and it kind of goes away after a day or two. Well, there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. I don't like going to see my sister doesn't charge me. She's an angel in that sense. But I also know that whenever I pick up the phone and I call her, the only time she can get me in is during her lunch, which means she's missing her lunch to treat my neck.
Okay, so if this is a guilt thing, go pay her.
That's a good way of doing it too.
Like, I just don't understand why you just
Book
sit
an
here
appointment.
and suffer, because there is a solution and it affects all of us. Like, it affects me, it affects the kids, it affects our dynamic, and you can help yourself. So I just wish you would.
It definitely affects you. I see that you do a lot more work when I'm not around, which is kind of like a, guess I would have done that if my neck was flat.
No, not at all. No, I'm just saying, like, you were able to go for a walk the other day. That helped. But then there's days that you can't go for a walk and you can't move.
Yeah, no, I understand. This has been this neck out situation is not nearly as bad as it has been. And I think that's my biggest thing. It's like, I'll just work my way out of it.
I know, but it's like it's just
but it
never
has
happened.
been a long time.
And
It actually has been a long time, and I had a terrible sleep last night.
I find myself, and this is more just like reflecting in this space. I find myself being like frustrated with you and like resentful, and it's building because I know you can go fix this, but you don't. So then I just sit here and I watch you in pain, and then I'm picking up the pieces when I'm like, why don't you just go fix this? Like I want to be empathetic for you, and I am at first, but then when you don't do anything to help your situation, and we've talked about this just in life, when somebody is like venting to you about a problem and then you're listening, you're giving advice and like solutions and stuff, and that person just continues to vent but doesn't actually take any of your advice, it's like, okay, I'm done being empathetic then. So like if I'm being cold, it's because I'm annoyed with you and I want you to go not be in pain anymore.
I get it. That makes a lot of sense.
So
but I just
stubborn.
want you to know I haven't vented with you at all.
Really? Every time you sit down, you're like, I'm so sick of this. There's this like headache in my back. I can't do anything. And you're just like frustrated, and it's annoying. Like I'm saying, like for you, like you're tired of being tired.
Yeah, no, it's like a headache in my back. That's how it feels.
Yeah,
Because it goes from my
so-
neck, but it goes across my shoulder.
But your whole mood's
the whole
off.
back goes.
Your
because
whole mood is off.
I literally have a headache in my
I
back.
know. And so when your mood is off, my mood is off, and I don't want to be off.
I'll call my sister when we get off this podcast.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm so glad
You
we
know,
had this talk.
Human beings are funny in general. This actually is a great segue to your car situation. So, not a great story. Very emasculating for me. Very emasculating. And people, why is it so emasculating? Because it fucking is. It's emasculating. It's the only way I can describe it. You had a situation. Now, actually, you know what? Before we get into the actual situation, can we just say we went to go into the car to drive the kids to Burlington, which is about an hour's drive from our location, get in the van and the Lamborghini and the check engine lights on. And I said, Brittany, your check engine lights on. You're like, yeah, it's been on for a couple of days. I'm like, do you know why your check engine light? No, I don't. So I look up in the top left corner and I see Mr. Lube and I see when your next oil change is due. And I said, have you not changed this sticker, or was this the last time you went in? You're like, it's the last time I went in. I'm like, you're due for a second oil change. As in, you already needed an oil change and now you need a new oil change for this oil change. Brittany, you can't do that.
Yeah, I went in. I got it. It was fine.
Yeah.
And it was fixed, but that wasn't the problem. That wasn't the problem.
No, the other problem was your battery was dying. Two completely different situations. Your battery's dying. You call me. You're at Cheer. My battery's not going well. Can you call the mechanic? By the way, the mechanic's phenomenal.
Small town business. I love them. They're fabulous.
Oh, they're the greatest.
Such good people too.
Anyways, so I bring your van over. They check. They say, yeah, the battery's probably going. You could replace that. Come tomorrow and we'll be good to go. So smart Ryan, I reversed the car into the driveway in the event that their battery's going to go. In the morning, I have to jump you. So sure shit, you're about to go to the mechanic, can't turn the car on. This is now my problem. So you pull me out and I have to jump your car. No problem. I move my car in front of your car, lift my hood. Now, I will say, I have not jumped 100 cars in my life. Could I say that I've jumped 10 in my life? Maybe.
Also a lie.
Could I say I've jumped 5 cars in my life? Absolutely. So somewhere around 5 cars to 10 cars. What's important to know here is I know how to jump a car.
Right.
Red to red, black to black, reverse the order when you're taking them off. It's pretty seamless. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. Is it a little scary to know that you got all that electricity coming towards you? Perhaps. And when it sparks, does it scare you a little bit? Yes. But regardless, I know how to jump a car. When I lifted up the hood of my car, I couldn't find my battery. I could not find my battery. Now, I didn't know this, but a lot of European cars, and I know this specifically for Mercedes, they actually put a casing over top of your battery. Now, my car actually has 2 batteries, but it has a casing over top of it to protect it. But it has this one little spot that you get to pull back, and then you've got the power, right? So you've got the positive, and then you got the return or the negative. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, here it is. So I clamp the positive on, and now I can't find the negative, or I can't find the ground for this thing. Long story short, I clipped it to what I thought was the battery because it was right beside the positive, and usually a battery works with a positive and a negative side. And so I clipped it to the opposite side bolt, and I walked around the car. And as I went to start the car, I looked through my hood of my car, and it was all smoking. Now, smoke's never good. Smoke's definitely not good when you have no power supply. I hadn't even turned the car on, so why would my car be smoking? I thought, oh, maybe I did something wrong. So I came back, I unclamped it, clamped it back on, come around, it's smoking again. I think to myself, oh, maybe the cables are just frayed or wired, or maybe something's on it. I'm just going to start this car, get this thing over with so that Brittany can move on. So sure as shit, I fried my entire car. I didn't hook it up to the battery at all. I hooked it up to like essentially the motherboard and fried the entire components of my electrical panel in my car. So what once was replacing a battery for $400 now became replacing a battery and $1,500 to get my car to start moving again. So long story short, that was emasculating. And you were driving me nuts in that day.
You missed so much in that story. You're like painting this as like, I was doing my best and I hooked up my battery. No, you were a fucking raging asshole that day. Like raging asshole. You get into this mood where it's like, first of all, you said to me, hey, are these the cables that screwed up Pete's car? Like genuinely asked me a question. And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't there when you guys were jumping it. I'm not sure. And then you're like, yeah, I think these were the cables. I'm not sure. And then you're like, it's not supposed to be like this. I'm not sure. And then our neighbor drove by, said, you good? And you're like, yeah, I'll figure it out. And then you asked me something else. And I said, Ryan, I'm not equipped to answer these questions. I don't know the answer to these questions. Why don't we go ask our neighbor? Because he has a truck, which I feel like would be more conducive to the van's battery. And why don't we just get him to jump it? But you're so stubborn. You literally said nothing to me, kept doing what you were doing, like finagling this fucking wire that clearly wasn't supposed to be going where it was going. And I said calmly, Rye, why don't we just go ask for help? Like, why are you attempting this? Like, you're going to ruin your car. And you looked at me and you were like, I'm about to lose it right now. And I was like, in my head, I was like, fuck this. Like, I was doing nothing. You're asking me all these questions. I don't know the answer. I said, here's the solution. Let's ask for help. And you literally were like, you're so fucking annoying. And I was so angry at you.
Use the word fucking.
Your eyes.
I said, stop being annoying.
You're so.
Sit in the car.
You are so stubborn in those aspects. And like, maybe that's the emasculating part because you couldn't ask for help. So instead, because your ego was so big, it cost $1,500 to pay for your ego.
Yeah, goddamn right it did.
Oh my God. It's just,
it was goddamn right it did.
$1,500.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
So maybe next time, don't lash out at me. Your anger was so misdirected. And I was just like trying to find a solution and you were like, so annoying. I'm like, I'm going to work out. I had the best workout that day because I was so fucking mad at you.
I
like,
cannot stress. And listen, this is a problem. I get it. But I cannot stress. And I know I'm not alone in this. When I'm trying to do something that is mechanical or physical, and you who don't know mechanical or the physical things that I'm doing are over top my shoulder asking me questions when I'm clearly frustrated.
Whoa. I wasn't asking you shit.
Are you sure you're putting it in the right spot?
No.
Is that where it's supposed to go?
I didn't say either of those things.
Why don't we call Adam?
I didn't say any of those things. I was saying nothing because I know how you get. You were asking me, I think these are the wires. You remember? I'm like, I don't know. I said, the only thing I can provide is a suggestion. And I asked twice. I said, well, if you don't know, like, why are we continue to do this? Why don't we just go ask Adam? I said nothing as you started bickering to yourself. And then you're like, are these the ones? I'm not even sure. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not over here like, Lenny. I wasn't doing that because I know how you get. So don't blame that on me.
Like,
I was not doing that.
Thing. I was frustrated.
So
I was frustrated the day before because I took your van and I got stuck in a parking lot. Because the car wouldn't turn on because you needed my car because this.
Okay.
And then in the morning I was frustrated because you're like, Ryan, are you going to be done this soon? Because I got to go to my workout class. I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind.
No, that's not what I said.
And so instead of going and taking my phone out, which is the smartest thing, taking my phone out and like, I know how to jump a car, but clearly I don't know how to jump my car. So all I could have done and should have done, which is what I did the second you left. And I thought, oh, fuck. Is I just go on YouTube and say how to jump a Mercedes. And had I done that, I would have known that I was not connecting to the battery. I was connecting to a hookup for the battery and that the negative or the return just needed to be clamped onto something metal. It didn't actually have to be connected to the battery. Had I done that and had I not been stressed out and had my ego not been like firing at all cylinders, we would have saved $1,500. You would have got your car jumped. You would have brought it to the mechanic. It would have been $400. But no, lesson learned, you know? Yeah, lesson learned. But I will say, like, I
got nothing.
I will say, Brittany, I have a feeling if men are listening to this, they're like, if they're sitting with their wives, they're not going to say anything. I get it. But in their heads, they're like, yeah, bro, I get it. Yeah, but you're painting me get it.
Fair, but that's only if I was doing what you said I was doing and I wasn't. I literally wasn't over your shoulder saying shit.
That's how it felt.
I don't care that's how it felt. That's not what happened.
But that's how it felt. So it might as well be happening.
Shut up. That's not how it works. I wasn't doing those things. You're in your own head and I'm punished because you're frustrated. So maybe just keep this in mind, because this is not an isolated incident. This happens a lot. And you get so frustrated, whether we're building something, whether we're moving something downstairs, you just immediately get so mad at me. And I'm literally just there trying to help. And you get so mad and it's so frustrating and it compounds. Like I'm genuinely upset right now.
I will literally say, when you're carrying something that's really heavy and the person who's not carrying it's like, are you guys sure you got that on the right angle? You know, don't scratch the wall. I've
never said either of those things.
It's annoying.
You make up this shit in your head. I have never said this out loud. If you are carrying something down the stairs, do you think I'm upstairs? Do you think I'm going to risk? Do you think I'm going to risk standing at the top of the stairs, knowing you, saying, oh, girls, be careful. Don't hit you're getting it. I would never. I would literally be dead ass silent in my mind, maybe being like, oh shit, there might hit the wall. I'm not going to say anything. I know you way too well.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you make up this stuff in your brain and then you look at me as if I said it and I haven't said shit and you just get so mad. You got to go to therapy.
Why don't you just call someone, Ryan? Why don't you just call someone? You clearly don't know what you're doing.
That's not what I said.
It drives me bonkers. It drives me bonkers.
Because you even admitted this. You have said, like, it's so emasculating. It's not emasculating to say, you know what? This isn't my expertise. I'm going to ask somebody. You're not good at everything. Why don't you just ask somebody, be like, hey, can I help you? It doesn't make you less of a man. Just go ask and be like, hey, man, can I use your help here?
Listen, when I graduated high school, I went and got my gas fitter's license and I worked the tools for 2 years. Then I've never worked a tool since. And you've never known Ryan, the tool worker. You've known Ryan, the guy on the keyboard, or Ryan, the guy on the phone, or Ryan, the guy who's selling shit. I'm still standing on my own again. Yeah, that's literally, that's who you know. And so when I get an opportunity,
you know, Ryan the pianist.
When I get an opportunity to do something that gets to show off my manliness and yes, my ego comes into play,
just doesn't
I want to do it. And the last thing I want is to be told by the person who I love, who I'm literally trying to show off for, maybe you should call Adam. Like,
well, as the car is smoking,
all due respect, fuck Adam. I can do this.
You clearly couldn't.
Yes. But I will say this.
You are
moving
so
forward,
good at so many
certainly
things.
know how to do
Anytime we need lights, you're incredible with electrical. You've hung all of our lights. You dim all of them. Like, I could never do that. And I'm always so impressed. And I've said this to you multiple times. I'm like, how the fuck do you know how to do all these things?
Because I know how to do shit.
Okay.
I just don't know how to do this shit. But now I do.
Great.
If it ever happens again, I know exactly what I can do.
I'm just gonna leave.
I literally just went to school. I paid $1,500 to learn how to start a car. That's all it came down to. That's how you got to look at these things.
What a great,
Brittany.
expensive lesson.
Like, think about how much money people will spend going to become a mechanic. I learned for $1,500 how to start a car. It's like I went on a weekend course to learn how to fix shit. That's how you got to look at it. Otherwise, you want to just punch yourself in the face because $1,500, cheapers, creepers. Anyways, we had fun this weekend.
I got one hand in my pocket.
Yeah, Alanis Morissette.
Fucking up my car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fun. So fun. It was so nostalgic listening to all those songs.
I realized that I enjoy spending time with you. Yeah.
It was a new leaf. You're like, wow, I kind of like this person. Yeah, it was really fun. We had a really good time.
It's one of those things where when you're in someone's company and you're just, you know, we spent the whole day together, the whole evening together. Like, we didn't go to the concert with anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the two of us. It was, we laughed at the right things. We made fun of each other at the right times, not fixing a car.
Mhm.
It was really cool.
I was watching, remember that one guy who kept kind of like bouncing between the tables? So at the Budweiser stage in Toronto, there's like a little area right before the concert, like right outside the concert venue, outside. And there's all of these like food trucks and like beverage stands or whatever for alcohol. And then there's like a shit ton of picnic tables and you can just sit, eat. You can hear usually the openers if you're not in yet and whatever. We were just people watching, which was so fun. So the picnic tables were big enough that a lot of different parties were kind of sitting in the same picnic table and sharing. So we were sitting down and then there was this another group beside us at the same table. And then there's this guy that came over and he came up and he
Great
was like,
line, by the way.
Yeah.
Great opening line.
He didn't lead with that.
Oh, you said he led with it.
No, he didn't. He came up and said,
I was waiting in line for fries, which is another story for you.
Yeah, he came up and said something like, I don't even know what he said. And then we were like, yeah, no worries. And then for whatever reason, I looked at him and I'm like, I don't trust this guy. I was just like, I don't know who he is. Like, I was pleasant enough to be like, yeah, for sure. Like, come over or whatever. And then like, he tried to say something else, but I didn't make any eye contact. So he kind of moved to the group beside us. And then they were talking to him. And he said his line was,
I can't find my girlfriend.
No, his line was, I can't remember what my girlfriend's wearing. And then everyone laughs. So it's kind of like, oh, we trust him now. And like, oh, he's
It was
funny,
brilliant.
right? And like,
What a great thing to say to a group of women is I can't remember what my wife is
your
wearing.
Your guard down. Like, you're just like, oh, he's got a significant other. Like, he's not here to hit on us. Anyways. So he was talking and he kind of then focused his energy on the other group. And so you went to go get fries, which we'll get to, but he left that group. And then I noticed him. He does the same thing.
He didn't have a wife
at two other tables, but he was talking about some like shifty stuff when he was at our table, because we were obviously eavesdropping. And then he just kept kind of bouncing around each table and I heard him deliver the line again. And I was like, this he is like a scam artist. And I was so intrigued and enthralled with his game. I was just like watching him.
Yeah. So I had one of the most awkward, embarrassing moments of my life.
Hold on. And then you texted me.
Yeah.
Because you were drinking and you're like, I don't want to forget about this. I didn't get the text until we were in the venue. I looked down and I look at my text and it says so awkward. And I'm like, what's this? And then you started crying,
I forgot
laughing.
about it. Yeah.
You were like, oh my God.
So you wanted some French fries.
Yeah.
And so I'm the nice guy. And I went to go wait in the massive lineup for the French fries. So as I approach this poutine line, which also serves normal French fries, there's a huge lineup. And at the end of the lineup, and I mean like at the very end of the lineup, were three girls in like a triangular position. They were all talking to each other. It's like the Spider-Man thing, like, right? You, me, who, and they're all there. And so I join the line and I stand directly behind them. Now, when you walk up to a line of people, how much distance do you give that line?
I don't know. It depends on how busy it is, right? Like if it's super busy. You're close. You're probably
close.
like a foot or two.
Yeah, a foot or two. So I
have a feeling you were quite close.
I inject myself about a foot or two from this triangle, but now I'm almost in the. It's almost
it's
a square. It's almost a square now, and I'm at the end of this line, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and you look around and you're kind of listening to the people in front of you because you're by yourself, but you're kind of not. But all of a sudden, I make eye contact.
Hold on, how long was it? Like a few minutes, right?
I'm in lineup for the massive lineup for fries.
Yeah,
it was probably more than a minute, but less than two.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden I make eye contact with the tip of the triangle and she's staring right at me. And I'm looking at her like, why are you staring at me? And she's like, she looks and she says, we're not in line.
It's just standing.
I just joined their conversation. Some stranger just walks up to a group of people who are talking and just parks himself in the middle of it. It's just like, I was thinking like, when the line moves. And then you're like,
I don't even know what my wife is wearing.
When the line moves. And when the line moves and the people in front of you don't
just forget.
Follow it
or not realize,
you're kind of like at some point in time, you're going to be like, can you move up? Right.
Like
you go to Wonderland or any of these roller coaster places. Can you move up? Like, I'm not going to get there any faster if you move up, but I just don't want people to come into this space. Well, they weren't actually in the line and the lineup was moving and they were not moving because they were just having a conversation and some weird, strange man just sits in the middle and just joins their conversation.
Oh my
God.
God.
I'm like, and she's like, we're not in line for fries. I'm like, oh. And she's like, you can join the line. And I'm like,
Okay.
this is awkward. And I walked around them. I put my head down and I just wrote you. This is so awkward right now.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It was.
That we were standing, watching the concert, and for whatever reason, we hadn't spoken, I swear, in like 2 songs. We were just like in our own vibe, like literally just like enjoying everything. Didn't say a single word to each other. And then all of a sudden, Ryan turns to me and he's like, oh God, I hope she sits on a stool.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck did you just say? And he was like, I don't know why I said that, but I really hope she does. Like, he just was like in this vibe of like wanting her to sit on a stool and saying she never did. So he ruined it. Anyways, it was really funny.
Here's the thing. What I meant by that, is I hope it was like an intimate concert.
I know, it
like,
literally
I hope that
came
she
out of
like
nowhere.
sits on a stool and has an intimate concert, and we get to like learn who Alanis Morissette is, right?
Yeah.
Because we went to Stevie Nicks last year, and she told some
I
incredible
thought we were, like, part of
stories
her
about
diary.
her life.
Yeah.
And I really felt like we got to know who Stevie Nicks was, and that's kind of what I was trying to get at. I know it came off weird, like I hope she sits
You
on
know
a
what?
stool, which is a
Actually,
weird statement.
in
but
comparison to Stevie Nicks, Alanis didn't say
Not anything.
literally anything
She
in
said,
between
"Thank you very much."
any songs. Like, you know how sometimes artists
so
will be like,
much.
hey guys, like, so today, and they'll just have like small little monologues in between. I love when they do that. She didn't say a single
not
thing.
one. So I will say, so we got what was called the VIP access to Alanis Morissette. Yeah.
The parking lot. That was literally so empty when we came around the corner.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
There
at.
wasn't a single fucking person.
This is what I'm getting at. So we get this VIP access, which gives you like swag and
I
it
was
says
like, I
it says
got
it says a
VIP.
photo op. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna meet Alanis Morissette. Now at the bottom it says
In fine print.
In fine print it says artist not included in this package.
In the photo op.
But it says photo op. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'll get these tickets. And so we get these tickets and they're floor seats. Now, in my defense, I actually thought we got the one behind the floor seats, which is an elevated seat, which I thought would give us a better view.
They were great seats.
They were fantastic seats, but it was funny because we get there and there's a huge lineup to get in there. And I said, oh, don't worry. There's like VIP access.
Yeah.
We can get in this VIP access. So we walk up and the
Where
guy's
was the
like,
VIP?
you have the VIP stuff? I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, where's your ticket? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, have you registered? We're like, no. And he's like,
Okay.
you gotta register, man. I'm like, oh, okay. So we register. This
That's
girl comes
fine.
up and she's like, oh, you guys have the lounge? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, we'll escort you. I'm sitting here
We
thinking,
are thinking
I'm
we're
thinking,
fucking
oh.
high rollers.
I'm like, I don't know how much more these tickets cost than the regular tickets. I don't think they were
us
much.
through like the whole park essentially, and we were like, oh my God, this is
Yeah,
like
I'm
legit.
I'm like, oh my God, I got a lanyard on. Brittany's got a lanyard on. I'm feeling like king shit here, being escorted to my seats by somebody when there's a
not
huge
even
lineup.
The seat, not even seat,
No.
to the VIP lounge.
The lounge, right? And so, anyways, I start
So
talking to her
fancy.
about this, and it's kind of not like, I'm not a pretentious guy, so when someone's escorting me somewhere, I feel awkward about it. So I'm
Yeah.
asking her questions about what is this thing about,
Life.
what is this and this, and so then she's like, "Oh yeah, it's like a tent," and I'm like, "Okay, so there's like bathrooms and stuff." She's like, "No, there's no bathrooms in there." I'm
She's like, they're broken. You have to
"Yeah,
use
the
the other
bathrooms are
ones.
broken. You got to use just the regular bathrooms." I'm like, "Okay, that's
No
cool."
worries.
And then I'm like, "All right, perfect." And she's like, "But you got your own bar there." I'm like, "Oh, sweet, we got our own bar." She's like, "Yeah, it's cash only though." I'm
And we're
like,
what?
"Oh, I don't.
There's
have,
no ATMs.
I don't
anymore.
have cash." I'm like, "Is there an ATM in there?" No, there's not an ATM in there. She said, "Actually, if you just go to all of the regular bars that are just in the venue, they all take credit card." I'm
We're
like,
okay.
"Okay, so the regular place has washrooms, ours doesn't. The regular place has credit card access, ours is cash only."
Right.
I'm thinking, "Oh, this is not sounding very VIP-ish." And the girl said to me, "Honestly, you're probably better off just not going in there."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Okay." So I'm like, this is weird, but I'm like, whatever.
So it's all fenced off and like gated off, and there's a security guard.
yeah,
being like,
security guard,
"Dude, let me
all
see your
fenced
passport."
off,
Like,
gated
oh,
off,
shit.
and you have this like entrance that you got to walk in. It's like you're about to walk into a haunted house. That's what it
Almost,
feels like,
yeah.
right?
I was
so you
thinking
gotta
more of
show
like
your
a pool party.
yeah,
in,
pool
in
party.
Vegas.
Yeah. So you show your lanyard. Guy lets you in. Brittany and I walk. We turn around the corner, and it's a fucking
Like an
empty
empty
parking lot. There's nobody there. It's just Brittany, me, and an empty parking lot. I'm like, what is this?
Then we see the tent, so we're like, oh, maybe there's people in here. There were
Seven people in the tent.
including the bartender.
Yeah, 7 people in the tent. And
And-
then the photo op was a big, gigantic board that had Alanis Morissette's like
album
cover on with her head cut out so you can
those things that you do
insert
at the
your
farm.
head into.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the pictures.
And my fucking head didn't fit in it.
It was way too big. Oh my God, we took photos though.
Yeah. So it gets better.
Yeah.
It gets better. So Brittany and I, we leave.
Fuck, we
sit in the normal area where everyone else is sitting for free. And we drink there where everyone else is drinking with their credit cards.
We're so ridiculous.
And then we go up and I'm like, all right, well, let's go to this because Joan Jett was playing. I'm like, let's go see Joan Jett because I have never seen her. We missed her, by the way. But anyways, we get in and Brady's like, where are we sitting? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even looked at our tickets yet. So we get in and I go to the front and I'm like, I know we're in the center. I'm like, so let's just go to the top and work our way down to our seats.
Right.
So the one girl says to me, she's like, I'm like, can you tell me where I am? She's like, you do realize you're sitting on the floor, right? Like you have floor seats.
We were
I'm like,
oh.
Nope, I don't. And she's like, oh yeah. So she waves someone down and all of a sudden it's this VIP treatment again. These people escort us down. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, this is cool. So we're walking. We get right down to the stage, and they're like, oh, these guys are VIP. So I'm sitting thinking, oh man, we are the cat's meow, right? And so this girl's like, I'll escort you to your seats. I'm like, all right, perfect. We keep walking. We're at the fucking very back. We're at the very, very back
we really
with folded seats.
It was so hard.
And I'm sitting here thinking, why didn't you just tell me to go to the back?
I know.
Like, why'd you make me feel like I was so VIP?
She really did. I kind of appreciated her for that.
Oh,
God. It made me feel important. But
we're sitting there. We're sitting at the very back. I look at Brittany and I'm like, we have the absolute worst floor seats that this venue has to offer. And they just made it seem like, I'm like, where's the limo? Seriously, where's the limo?
Where's the red carpet?
Oh they made it feel like everything was so important. And I'm like, you could have just told me, just go right to the very back, bro.
Honestly.
And I would have been like, all right, cool, no problem. But I'm like, oh man, it's like you feel like you're so important. And then you realize so quickly
that you just paid for nothing.
But you're not. You're just not. It's like, yeah, just sit right there at the very back. Can't see your seats, can't see Alanis. Have fun, man. Enjoy your seats.
After the show, Alanis left the stage and played up into the people at the back, which I thought was awesome that she did. Except she played there for too long, like
5 songs, 25 minutes.
If you're paying to sit closer by the stage, you're paying for that because you want to see the artist. And she was like, we couldn't see her.
No.
Like she literally, we had to watch the screen, and it was just like annoying.
I'm like, I love Alanis Morissette, but I wouldn't buy her DVD and watch it. Mm-hmm. And
That's
for
what
25 minutes, I sat in my seats and watched the Jumbotron watching Alanis Morissette. I'm like, I just paid to watch her CD.
And those seats were so awkward because they were the folding chair seats. So like there really wasn't a designated, like people were shifting in our row. So if you have one of the other permanent seats, like you kind of know what your seat is because like your shit's on it and you're like, you would sit down, it doesn't move. So this one wasn't because there were folding chairs. So we were kind of all shifting, and there was a family beside us. And there was like I don't even know, someone's dad was beside me. And I don't think he was into the concert. He was sitting for half of it. But every time he stood up, like you went to the bathroom. So I was trying to stand my ground because if I moved over, I'd lose our space because one person was missing. And so I was standing like this, like with my arms like this, because every time I moved my arm, just basically having them by my side, his arm hair was so long, it would tickle my arm hair. And I was like, fuck, this is so weird. And so then I would like move back and then I'd put it back and it'd be like,
but you get closer.
And it was just like,
every time you give up an inch, they take it, right? That's how it works.
I was like, this was so uncomfortable.
I went to the washroom. I will say where we were sitting, the access to the washroom was phenomenal, right? Mint. 100% highly recommend, 10 out of 10. But I will say when I was coming back, 3 people into the row was a gentleman.
Oh, you crushed him.
I stepped on his toe.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here thinking, well, why'd you wear flip-flops to a concert? You got floor seats. You're standing only. Why would you wear flip-flops? Anyways, I try to slide by him and I inch past him, and the room isn't very big, and he didn't give me the room.
Yeah.
He didn't fold his seat up to give me the room.
You fold your seat up when people were going by.
I stepped on his foot. This man yelled louder than I've ever heard someone go, "Oh!" ow, my toe. And I'm like, oh, sir, I'm so sorry. And he's like, I guess I don't need that one anymore. And I'm like, and what am I supposed to do here? I'm like, I'm just going to keep walking. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm like, I'm not going to the washroom again. That man was so mad at me.
When you were
on his fucking toe.
When you were gone, the people beside us had left at one point and then had come back, but you were still in the bathroom. And so one of the daughters, I had fully moved. Like I moved my chair back, but it was tight. Like to be honest, it was super tight. And I wasn't paying attention. I forgot to tell you this. I wasn't paying attention to them coming back. I was just like fully listening and singing to like Alanis. And I was like, yeah. And like, I turned and she's fucking right here. And I was like, oh, she's so into this too. Not like realizing this person was never beside me. Like she was coming to go on my other side. So she's in my face and I'm like, yeah. And like, she's, I don't know. And she's like looking at me. She's like, yeah, I like this song too. And like, because I was not kind of like realizing it, she had to climb over me and fully like fell on me. Like we were like chest to chest and I was still like, yeah. And she was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, fucking, this is
Can
so
we just
weird.
talk about Ironic for a second? So I have been listening to Ironic for whatever that is, 25 years. I don't know how long that is. When did Jagged Little Pill come out?
Oh, you're about to say the lyrics?
And we were at Allison and Simone's house, and Simone
God.
says he's French Canadian, or at least he's got a French Canadian accent.
He is.
He's like, the funny thing is she doesn't even understand what ironic means. And I'm like, what do you mean?
I don't even know the story.
He's like, yeah, she doesn't know what ironic means. There's nothing ironic about her song. And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? She's like, black fly on a new Chardonnay. That's not ironic. That's just bad luck. Afraid to fly, gets in a plane, it crashes. That's not ironic. That's just bad luck.
Well, I think ironic is kind of a form of
10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. That's not ironic. That's just bad luck.
But what's an example of ironic then?
Ironic? Irony?
No, like give me an example of like, well, that's ironic. Like
irony.
Wow, this word is tripping me out right now. I've said
ironic
it too many times.
is irony.
Yeah, which I feel like is a little bit like bad luck. Like, isn't it ironic?
I'm sure there's some bad luck in the word irony, but irony is not is not bad luck.
What's an example of irony? Her vacation with heavy irony is an education. Oh, this is stupid.
Yeah, okay.
A pilot has a fear of heights. That's ironic.
Yeah, a pilot has a fear of heights is ironic. A guy being afraid of flying and the plane crashes, it isn't ironic. It's terribly unfortunate.
Well, I guess.
If you listen to her song,
a fire station burns down.
Correct.
That's ironic.
That's ironic.
A marriage counselor files for divorce. That's ironic. Well, I feel like when you say it's a black fly in your Chardonnay, it's supposed to be like this bougie ass piece, like glass of wine, and it's
rain
like
on your wedding day isn't ironic.
Yeah, it kind of is.
A divorce on your wedding day would be ironic.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
It's the opposite of. It's the irony
You're right.
of it all.
A traffic cop gets his license suspended because of unpaid parking tickets.
That's
right.
ironic.
Well, you know what? Up until this exact moment, I have never questioned that song.
Not one line in that song is actually ironic at all. Ironic. Yeah.
Maybe
it's
that's
ironic
the irony of
that
the
there's
song.
no ironicness, irony in the song. Isn't that ironic?
Maybe this whole time she was like, these fucking idiots think this song is about all of these lyrics, but the irony of the song is none of them are about irony. Maybe she's tricking all of us.
Say irony so many times and it sounds weird.
It does. It was tripping me out. I'm like, I don't think we have the right word.
I will say she put on an unbelievable performance. It was
she
like
did. She was incredible live.
It literally threw me back to being a kid.
Yeah.
And listening to her perform, I was emotional. And
Great
it's weird
hair.
because
Great
Alanis
hair.
Morissette's obviously older than I am. Not obviously, but she's older than I am. And yet every
50.
time I go to a concert and I see a woman perform and own it, I cannot help but think that's someone's kid.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's
That
like
is someone's kid.
You're just proud of them.
And I was so proud of Alanis Morissette.
I get like that.
Alanis, I am so proud of you. Me sitting in the back row of this VIP section. You can't see me because I can't see you, but I can see you up there.
I get that way about Canadians for some reason. Anytime there's like a famous Canadian, I feel this like proud sense of like maternal like astonishment. Like, yeah, you did it.
And like the whole time behind her, you're like seeing her performing in other
everywhere in the
countries.
world.
And we're like, you
was
made
wild.
it, Alanis. You
You
made it. Oh my
So
God.
ironic.
And isn't that ironic? You made it. A Canadian artist making it. Ain't that ironic? Well, no, it's not. No.
Anyways, she's put on a great show. We highly recommend.
I think we're over time.
We are.
I got some stuff to talk about, but we can
save
just
it.
move it to next week.
Save it. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Great. See you later.
Pieces out. Deuces.
Buzz.
There goes a sight from my soul.